it. A 26-year championship drought finally over. The 2023 Michigan Wolverines are the college football national champions. Michigan's 2023 season has been nothing short of absolutely amazing. Now, it should come as no surprise to anybody who knows me that I was jumping on the Michigan championship hype train very early on in the season. I told everybody, my closest friends who are Michigan fans, my closest friends who are Ohio State fans, my brother, my sister, my mom, my dad, I was telling everybody, this is going to be our year. This is going to be the year we win the national championship. It's hard to see how we wouldn't, considering how good of a roster we'd put together. We had a projected first-round quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. We had the killer running back duo of Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. We had a great receiving room of Roman Wilson, Barner, and Colston Loveland. We had a killer defense, front-loaded by Mason Graham, and the secondary of Mike Sainristil and Will Johnson. We had the dream team going, and practically all these players were leaving after 2023. So I figured, this is going to be our year. If we're ever going to win a championship, this is going to be the year we do it. But going into the first few weeks of the season, I was a little worried. Sure, we had beaten UNLV and East Carolina without a problem, but they were less margins than Georgia, Florida State, and other teams were putting up against weaker opponents. And then we had the whole Bowling Green fiasco with J.J. McCarthy throwing 2 interceptions. Then, after that, we had allegations of Jim Harbaugh committing recruiting violations. And to top it all off, I was at the Rutgers game, the big homecoming event. My cousin was actually there, too, and it was like a family event. So it didn't make me happy at all to see Rutgers break off a 70-something yard touchdown on one of the first plays of the game. Needless to say, these first few weeks, I don't think Michigan looked like a championship caliber team. But it must have just been me. Because in the next few weeks, we really picked it up. I'll be honest, this is when I first started getting into the hype. These 5 games were absolutely insane. This is when I started thinking, okay, we are the best team in the country. But none of that mattered to me because we had a new challenge on the horizon. Penn State honestly looked like a championship caliber team, and I was worried they were going to steal the Big Ten from us. Drew Aller had kind of looked like a superhuman from what I had seen of him in these first few weeks, and I was so worried going into this game. Luckily, I had other things to do today that kept me distracted and off the game itself. So, Michigan, how'd we end up doing? Oh, well, that's a nice surprise. Wow. Unfortunately, Ohio State had already beaten Penn State the week prior, which meant we were still in a deadlock with them for the winner of the Big Ten East. And it seemed that the winner would go on to play Iowa in the Big Ten Championship. God, I can't wait for that Michigan-Ohio State game. Wait, we still have one more game on the schedule before that? This game makes me sad. Now, I had an all-day event out of town, so I wasn't able to watch this game on the day that it happened. So, I just kind of checked through it on my phone. And it was on my lunch break that I first saw, oh, Michigan's up 7-3. Wait, now Michigan's up 14-3? Okay. Look at that play by the defense. Wow, another great play by the defense. And now we're up 16-3. Great job, Michigan. Wait, now we're up 23-3. Okay, Michigan, now we're getting it done. What's this? Maryland's at our goal line? Please say we hold them. And looks like we didn't hold them. But that's okay. They only scored 7 more points. We're still up by 13. Michigan, just keep doing what you've been doing. And another touchdown, huh? Oh. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this. Luckily, Michigan would score again to make it 29-14. We're still very much in control. Oh, come on. They're back again, and now it's a 5-point game. Oh, Michigan, come on. Thankfully, that's the end of Maryland's scoring, but wow, that game knocked the wind out of me for a second. And with that, we've reached the Ohio State game. This is where things get serious. So serious that I've decided to change my shirt. Oh yeah, it's game time, baby. Now, before I get into the game itself, can I just acknowledge how funny it was that the announcers were pretty clearly biased towards Ohio State? Like, I'm not even joking. We would take a huge lead by like 10 points or so, and they'd be like, this Ohio State defense is so skilled, they've got Michigan exactly where they want them. Here's Corum breaking off a huge touchdown against them, but ignore that. Michigan is not playing as well as Ohio State is. Ohio State's defense is unparalleled. Yeah, maybe if their defense was better, they wouldn't have allowed 27 points, but just a thought. Now, this game was an absolute delight to watch, and by an absolute delight, I mean it had me biting my fingernails down to the absolute core, because this game was super stressful. It was pretty clear that Ohio State came to play out of the gate, but I didn't expect the score to be this close by the end. Like, I would have expected Michigan pulled away by this point, but some part of me was still reeling after that Maryland game, and I'm like, oh, is Michigan good enough? As it turns out, Michigan was good enough. We ended up winning, and we would head to the Big Ten Championship against Iowa, who was ranked in the top 25 for once.
That's a joke, by the way. If you're an Iowa fan, I'm sorry. Iowa's actually been pretty good these past few years.
Much like the Ohio State game, Gus Johnson made it a point in the Michigan-Iowa Big Ten Championship to make sure he noted how good Iowa's defense was, rather than Michigan's defense, even though Iowa somehow didn't score a single point throughout the entire game. In fact, they gave up 26 of ours. I wonder who had the better defense. Anyway, this wasn't really much of a competition. I went to bed pretty early on in the game, and my parents tell me I didn't miss too much. Oh, wow. Nice little punt return by Samaj Morgan there. I wonder if we'll see him again. As I was saying, though, the announcers made it a point to tell us every 5 minutes how great Iowa's defense was, and how they were keeping it very close with Michigan, and how they had them exactly where they wanted them. I mean, come on, who won 26-0 here? Was it Iowa? It really is surprising how unremarkable Iowa's offense was, that they needed to point out how good their defense was.
Again, if you're an Iowa fan, I'm so sorry.
As per usual, J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, and Donovan Edwards put on an offensive masterclass, while the defense did their best to contain Iowa's offense to 0 points throughout the game. Great game by Michigan, and it seemed that after this game we were shoo-in for the college football playoff, especially after Georgia lost to Alabama in the SEC Championship. The only question was who our opponent was going to be. Crossing my fingers. Come on. Yes! Yes! Washington and Texas are in. These are the 3 contenders. I really hope we play Florida State. Georgia seemed to be out after that loss to Alabama, so the real question was Florida State or Alabama. It all came down to this. Oh, what? Are you kidding me? You're gonna eliminate an undefeated Florida State? They're 13-0. They're ACC champions. Gosh. Excuse me? That doesn't make any sense. I feel a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of Floridians cried out in anger about the unfairness of a college football playoff system that had worn out its welcome so much that they had decided to expand it threefold. Oh well, let's just cut to the Alabama game, I guess. Now, this game scared me for a number of reasons going into it, but I think the number one most popular reason was that Alabama is really, really good, and that was evident on one of the first plays. McCarthy got flushed out right and threw an interception, as it seemed, to Caleb Downs. It did get called back because Downs was out of bounds or some loophole rule like that, but that scared me straight. On one of the first plays of the game, Michigan had already been rattled. This game quickly got into crazy territory as neither team could do anything on their first possessions. Michigan's defense terrorized Jalen Milroe in the pocket, forcing Alabama to punt on their first drive. Wonder how that went. Oh boy, in fact, there's our good friend Samaj Morgan. Wonder what he can pull off. Of course, he had some huge returns against Iowa. Let's see what he can do now. Oh, he's running. Oh my god! What the actual was that? I feel another great disturbance in the force, but this time it is one of pure anger because one of our players made a mistake in the most inopportune moment. Samaj! Dude! All armchair critique aside, Samaj Morgan, I am so sorry. This game got real crazy real fast. And it seemed like Alabama's defense had a death grip on our Corum and McCarthy-led offense. We were very much in trouble and very much in danger of, for the third year in a row, not advancing to the national championship. I was, once again, becoming very, very worried. Luckily, Michigan managed to pull it off. Oh, gosh. Thank goodness we were able to get this game to overtime, or I may not have survived. If you want more of these clips, but in a much cooler fashion, go check out my last YouTube short about Michigan and the Rose Bowl. But I digress. This game was absolutely awesome. We had managed to make a miraculous Michigan-style fourth-quarter comeback to tie the game and send it into overtime. This was for all the marbles. Yes! 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 See you in the national championship! Call it what you will. Fate, destiny, Alabama center making a mistake at the most heartbreakingly inopportune moment. But we were heading to the national championship. For the first time in the college football playoff era, Jim Harbaugh, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, J.J. McCarthy, Mike Sainristil, Will Johnson, and the 2023 Michigan Wolverines were to contend for a national championship. I cannot overstate how excited I was for this game. This was the biggest game of my life. Only question was, who are we going to play? Ah, yes, it's our good old friends, the Washington Huskies, who will actually be joining the Big Ten after this year is over. It's funny to think that Michigan-Washington will just be a divisional matchup from now on. They managed to survive a scare against Texas in the Sugar Bowl and were destined to head to the national championship. With Jalen Polk, Rome Odunze, and the ever-popular Michael Penix Jr., it seemed this team had come to play.
Finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be legendary.
The pressure surrounding this game was immense. The two best teams in the league were finally about to face off in the national championship. It was going to be the battle of the century. But the thing is, I can't actually do it justice. Shocking, I know. But I wasn't really with this game. I had other things to do, unfortunately. I had prior commitments and all that stuff. I wasn't actually watching this game as avidly as someone like my mom or my dad was. But I'll do my best. The thing is, this wasn't Michigan's best game of the season, but it wasn't really Washington's either. Unfortunately, Michael Penix Jr. had been a little bit banged up by the Michigan defense. So, I hate to say it, but this wasn't much of a fight. I almost feel like Washington somewhat deserved the title, but the Fates gave it to Michigan instead. For reasons we might not ever understand, the Michigan Wolverines walked away with the championship. And I'm so happy that they did. This was an amazing season. And we capped it all off by demolishing Washington. They put up a good fight, but the Michigan Wolverines won the day. And as the curtains closed on the 2023 season, it felt good to be there watching as Michigan finally took their spot atop college football. Way back in 2022, I had the opportunity to take a picture with Blake Corum himself. It was a really special occasion, and ever since then I've been really invested in the story of the Michigan Wolverines. I really hope he does well in the NFL. Same with McCarthy and Edwards and all the other guys. Also, no, I'm not showing my face for you guys just yet. Let's get to 100 subscribers and then we can go from there. But anyway, hats off to the 2023 Michigan Wolverines, to Jim Harbaugh, future first-round pick J.J. McCarthy, future other round pick Blake Corum, Mike Sainristil, Will Johnson, Donovan Edwards, and, yes, even Samaj Morgan. Good job, Samaj, you earned it. This is Cheetos NFL signing off from a historic season for the Michigan Wolverines. It felt really good to be watching alongside, and I'll see you guys next time.